2, 1. I'm naturally kind of soft-spoken, so I have to kind of push myself to project more. But then now I feel like I have some. I'm sorry?
Just count to 10. Welcome to our web chat. I'm Todd Duplantis with Houston Community College, and I'm glad to see you join us this afternoon. We've got a lot of information we're going to get to over the next hour. We've got experts here from HCC to answer your questions about enrolling in college. Joining me right off the top here, we've got Bonnie Jacobs, and you're the Director of Financial Aid. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Todd. It's great to be here.
Now, we've got an exciting announcement regarding a free tuition program. This is something unheard of. I know I haven't heard of anything like this since I've been with HCC. Tell us about the Eagle Promise program.
Todd, we are so excited to roll out this new program, the Eagle Promise program, beginning this fall 2019, and it is for spring 2019
Right.
high school graduates. They are able to receive free tuition fees and up to $500 in book fees.
So that more or less is getting a chance, getting a break to go to school and have your bills paid for you attending school, which is incredible for now. This is not for everyone, it's for graduating seniors. And those seniors, they would need to be in district, is that correct?
That is correct. They need to be just graduating from high school, spring 2019. They need to live in HCC taxing
Okay.
district. They have to have a 2.0 as well coming out of high school. And yes, there's just a few eligibility requirements for them to
Right.
meet in order to qualify for free tuition fees and a portion of their books.
And is there can they apply at any time, or is there a deadline to apply for this?
We're asking that they have to enroll for the fall 2019 semester, at least 9 credits as a minimum,
Okay.
and a minimum of 9 credits in the spring as well.
And this is something that's been unheard of, you know, to get folks in. But you know, free tuition is a big thing, especially now with the debates going on. It's a big issue around the country, and this is something. Have you seen something like this happen before?
We
with
know
other
that there
colleges?
are a few states that have tuition-free programs, and they have been very successful in retaining students, allowing students to go to school debt-free, and it helps us to relieve that stress of
Right.
paying for college. I mean, it's one of the biggest things that
Sure.
causes students to drop out is finances. So if we can eliminate that stress of worrying about how you're going to pay for school, it's going to make students be more successful and focus on what they're going to school for, which is their program.
The Eagle Promise program, and is there a website they can go to get information on this?
Definitely. We have a new website created for the Eagle Promise program. It is hccs.edu/free degree.
Okay, so that's hccs.edu/free degree. If you go there, you get all the details, and this is about for graduating seniors. We had some questions coming across here, and one of them pertaining, I believe, something you could answer, is you were talking about things that people need in getting in college. Obviously, paying for school is a big deal. What are some of the options available? Financial aid, maybe you can talk about Pell Grants. Let's start with financial aid. How do you apply for that, and what are the steps?
Okay, in order to qualify for financial aid, the first step is to complete the FAFSA, or the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, or the TASFA if a student qualifies for the TASFA. So all aid is based on the information that's supplied on the FAFSA.
And how long does that process take? Because a lot of folks think, well, I want to attend classes, they start at this date, am I going to have enough time?
Usually it takes about 3 to 4 weeks for us to process the FAFSA information. We receive the information from the federal student aid government, and we look at what a student qualifies for in grants, in state aid, and other scholarships. And then with the Eagle Promise program, we'll be able to fill in the gaps with the Eagle Promise scholarship.
And the Eagle Promise, it's a good point you brought up, that this is it's free tuition that pays for your school, but it's a scholarship, as you want to clarify that. Okay. Other ways of paying, you sign up for the FAFSA. Does that give you the application to apply for the Pell Grant? Is that included in that? And how does that work?
Right. In order to qualify for Pell Grant, you have to complete the FAFSA, the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. That is the very first step to qualify for any type of aid.
And does the Pell Grant, will that pay for most students' tuition, the full amount of the Pell Grant?
If a student qualifies, the Pell Grant can cover their complete tuition fees, books, and give them money left over to pay for personal expenses, transportation, and things like that.
And it's important to note that this is a Pell Grant. It's not something you have to pay back.
Exactly. Grants are free, so that is something that the student does not have to pay back.
Now, let's say a student doesn't get all the money they need to attend school. They don't qualify for all of it. Are there payment plans available that people can get involved with?
Yes, there are payment plans available through our cashier's office. Students are able to pay a portion each month in order to pay their tuition and fees.
Okay. And as far as other ways, I guess scholarships is another thing too. A lot of folks just don't take the time to apply for the scholarships, because there are a lot of scholarships that are available that nobody claims.
That is true. We have our foundation office. They handle Houston Community College scholarships, and there's one application students can complete,
Okay.
and they will definitely match students with scholarships that they qualify for.
For scholarships, you can log on to hccs.edu/scholarships, and that will give you the information on applying for those scholarships and seeing really what's available, because there's a lot of money out there, free money, that's available for you to grab to help you attend classes. Before we get to some questions on here, I wanted to talk to you about some of the benefits for applying for financial aid, but also registering early. Maybe you could tell us about that.
Okay, some of the benefits in registering early. First of all, you want to be prepared, and you need to be prepared with a plan. So enrolling early gives students a chance to select maybe instructors that they want to work with. They can select the schedule they want to that works with other things they may have going on in life if they have a part-time job. So it's good to be prepared, and also, as you know, the early bird gets the worm. So
Sure.
if a student applies early for financial aid, there are grants that are on a first come, first served basis. So those students will have the advantage of receiving those grants if they apply early.
That's a good point you make, because I know a lot of times when you're dealing with grants, there's a limited amount of money. So being there first and making sure you get your application in first is certainly beneficial, because you can really get the biggest piece of the pie. As you
Exactly.
move forward. The cost to attend HCC, I don't think a lot of folks realize how cost efficient it is to really take classes at HCC. It doesn't cost a whole lot. Maybe you can tell us how much it costs to go here as opposed to going to other colleges.
Okay, at HCC, yes, it's very, very reasonably priced. If a student is in district, meaning they're living within an HCC taxing district, it is $77 per credit hour.
Right.
If they're out of district, that means it's $173 per credit hour, and if they're out of state, it's $219 per credit hour.
Okay,
Which
so
is very reasonable to attend a college.
even the out-of-state, yeah, still very reasonable when you
Yes.
compare it to across the board to other colleges across the state of Texas. We talked about the benefits for financial aid, but I think what we want to revisit once again is this Eagle Promise program, because we talked about it at the top. Some people may just be joining us now. We're talking about a tuition program it's a scholarship that'll pay for your tuition, a free tuition program. Maybe you can tell us about the Eagle Promise and how that works.
Okay, Todd, again, we are so excited about the Eagle Promise program that is starting this fall 2019 for spring 2019 high school graduates. Now, the requirements are that they graduate from high school with a 2.0. They must live within an HCC taxing district. And when they fill out the financial aid form, they must have an expected family contribution of $10,000 or less. Once they have completed those items, then they need to complete an application for the Eagle Promise program. From that, they will need to enroll in at least 9 hours, fall and spring. If they choose to go for the summer, we will still cover the cost with the free tuition and fees and up to $500 in books.
Okay.
They will have to meet with an advisor at least once per semester, and then also a financial coach once throughout the academic year. They must complete at least within 3 to 5 years, and they must attend continuously.
Right.
So they cannot have a break in their enrollment, not including summer. So we're
Okay.
looking to support students by having them meet with advisors and also meet with the coaching staff.
Okay.
So we want to see students succeed debt-free. That is the goal with the Eagle Promise program.
And the website for the Eagle Promise is hccs.edu/free degree.
Free degree.
We've got a question coming in here. It says, hello, I graduated from high school in 2020. When should I fill out the FAFSA and enroll for fall for 2020 for nursing?
The financial aid form, or the FAFSA, is available October 1st of each year.
Okay.
So in order to continue to receive financial aid, a student does have to complete the FAFSA each year and it's available October 1st.
Let's say you are a high school graduate right now and you want to get enrolled, and I know fall classes are coming up. Is there still time for me to do that? Do I still have time to apply for the Eagle Promise or apply for financial aid? Is there still time before the fall classes start?
There's definitely still time. There's plenty of time actually
Right.
to get all of this done. There's not a lot of requirements to be eligible for the program. We just ask that the students fill out the FAFSA. It only takes 2 to 3 days for us to receive the FAFSA information, but it does take 3 to 4 weeks for us to process all of the information. And we will communicate with the students if they qualify for the program and have them complete and commit to start and finish the program.
That's a big thing, is commit to complete, because I know a lot of us can find ourselves taking a class here, taking a class there, taking off a semester, but really getting through it the long run. And if it sounds like with the Eagle Promise program, you don't have that option. You need to go continuously through.
Correct. We're asking that students, once they're enrolled in a program, they need to take classes within that program. And so that means if you're in an engineering program, that means you shouldn't be in a basket weaving class.
Right.
You need to stay on track, take a minimum of 9 credit hours per semester, and attend continuously.
And say you go through the first year, is the funding going to be available for the next year to go through the Eagle Promise?
So some of the things that the student needs to do to retain their eligibility with the Eagle Promise program is they need to have attended at least 9 hours per semester in the fall and spring. They need to maintain a 2.3 cumulative grade point average.
Okay.
They need to have attended the coaching session with, once per year, and the advisor twice throughout the academic year. They need to have attended continuously and follow their course plan.
So there's some steps you'll need to follow if you want to qualify for the Eagle Promise program. And keep in mind that program is available to graduating high school seniors, 2019 graduating high school seniors for the spring of 2019. If you want to enroll, go check out hccs.edu/free degree, hccs.edu/free degree. We'll have more coming up on our web chat. I'm Todd Duplantis. We'll be back after this.
I have a big passion for law enforcement, and I want to help my community, give back to them. So this is why I chose HCC and get enrolled in their police academy. The journey to becoming an officer hasn't been easy. I got injured. I had several obstacles in academics, and I was not able to succeed. I was broken. I didn't accomplish a goal that I had set myself to, but that didn't stop me. I wanted to re-enroll again, but I couldn't because Harvey happened. My home was destroyed. I didn't have financial stability at the moment, so I could not come back to do the program again. So I spoke with Mr. Sims, and he suggested that I apply for a scholarship, and I did. I was awarded with a scholarship with the Houston Rodeo. I re-enrolled, and 3 days within the academy, I got a 3rd-degree sprain. I was in crutches for 3 months, but I overcame that obstacle. I was not going to let another injury stop me from accomplishing my goal. Being in crutches for 3 months, I couldn't work, so I used my scholarship from the rodeo to be able to pay for my level 2. My perseverance and my commitment and my discipline paid off. I accomplished my goal. I graduated the police academy, and now I am in the hiring process with HCC Police Department. I want to thank the HCC faculty for seeing the potential in me and helping me achieve my goal.
Welcome back to our web chat. I'm Todd Duplantis with Houston Community College. We're here to help you answer questions or help answer your questions for enrolling at HCC in the fall or the summer. Joining me now is Indra Piles. You are the Interim Associate Vice Chancellor of Enrollment, Management, and Success. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you work under the Student Services, and we've had some questions coming in regarding enrolling at HCC, and a lot of folks are thinking, what's my time limit on this? If I enroll for the fall, how much time do I need? Do I need to test for classes? What's the process?
So the first step is to apply, submit an admissions application. You go to hccs.edu and click on Start a New Application. Depending on the career type, you select your career type and fill out the application. And after you fill out the application, it takes about 48 hours to process the admissions application.
We're not talking weeks, about 48 hours here.
Yes, 48 hours. Yeah. And then after the application is processed, the student will receive a to-do list, which tells them they need meningitis records or they need X amount of documentation to enroll. So it depends on their status.
And one thing to clarify with HCC is we're different than a lot of colleges because we have year-round enrollment.
Correct.
So if you miss one session, one of them's not that far down the road, right?
Correct. So we're currently enrolling for summer still. So if
we're still doing that. Yeah,
we have a session starting July 8th, so you can come in and register for classes. And our fall semester begins August 26th, and our second start begins September 23rd. We encourage students to allow at least a week for enrollment, because if they need to take a placement test, if they're going to a level 2 certificate or an associate degree program, they will need to test. If they're going for a level 1 certificate, they wouldn't need to test. So it depends on their career path.
So there's still lots of time to enroll for the fall, and really you can enroll for summer classes, which is important because you might be a college student, maybe going to Texas A&M or U of H in the fall, and you want to get an extra class in. They have time to do that.
Absolutely. We have mini-master sessions and our courses are transferable, but please make sure that you work with the college advisor at the institution where you are attending and our college advisors at HCC.
Which is an important fact you just made, because I know when I went to college, I probably wound up with about 30 hours, which I never used, never needed. You know, that was a waste of time and money, but you guys work really hard to work with students to ensure that doesn't happen any longer, correct?
Correct. So our advisors are there to assist students to ensure that they're in the correct program plan and that they're taking the correct amount of classes. And based on their goals, if they're transferring to a four-year institution, we make sure that they're taking the classes that are transferable. If they're going into the workforce, we want to make sure that they take the career, the proper courses for that career as well.
We covered this, but someone is asking again, so we'll get the question. It was asking, how long does it take to enroll at HCC when they can start? Maybe you can answer that again.
So after the admissions application is submitted, it could be on this, when they come in person and they submit all their documentation, it could be 5 minutes.
Or 48 hours you were mentioning as well.
So 48 hours is the admissions application.
Okay.
And for enrollment, it could be, as long as they have everything submitted, then it could be as fast as 5 minutes to enroll.
Okay. Talk about what student services are offered at Houston Community Colleges, because I think that's one thing to point out to folks, what all you handle, what falls under your department. So maybe you can talk about a wide range of those.
Sure. So we have a wide range of services, starting with admissions. That's where students submit their meningitis records, transcripts, change their name if they got married or divorced, and if they're changing their residence or anything, any changes, requesting transcripts, that's where the admissions is. Advising is where students are assigned an advisor based on their area of study. So students can see that on their portal. If they don't see an advisor assigned to them, then they can come in person to work with an advisor. And the advisor is going to be the person that's going to guide the student through the process to ensure that they're in the right career path.
And they'll help them with a degree plan as well?
The degree plan, and making sure that, you know, they don't take excessive number of classes because they need to maintain status for financial aid.
And if they're transferring to another college or wanting to, say I want to transfer to U of H in a year, would the advisor be the person that helps them through those steps as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the advisor works very closely with the four-year institution to ensure that the classes that they're taking are transferable.
Okay.
We also have career services, so we have a lot of students that are undecided about their career path. So this is a good opportunity for students to utilize by taking a career assessment, and they can decide what they want to do based on their results. We also help them with resume writing,
Right.
cover letter, prepare them to get into the workforce. So we have that as far as career services. Counseling and ADA, it's a service that we provide to our students. Counseling is for students that are going through personal situations,
Right.
and those are confidential services. ADA, if a student has a disability, they have to self-disclose to us. It's very different from high school. We cannot ask a person if they have a disability,
Right.
so it's important that the student self-discloses so that we can provide proper accommodations for the student. We also provide services for international students.
Which is a big deal. I don't think people realize how many international student services, or how many international students attend HCC. It's a pretty large number and one of the highest numbers of international students in the country.
Absolutely. So if we have international students that are in the U.S. or coming from another country, we have designated school officials that help them with the immigration process to get the I-20 process and the advising and the transition to,
Right.
the cultural transition part. Of course, testing, we have, for those students that are needing to take the TSI assessment, we have that service. We also provide examination by college level examination program, which is CLEP.
Right.
If a student has experience in a different field and they can test and earn credit,
Right.
that's a way of earning credit as well.
We had a question earlier, and I found this quite interesting because a person was asking, I don't have a high school degree, but I want to go to college. What do you suggest I do? What would you suggest for that student? Would you go the GED route? Could they go through testing to get into HCC? How can that be handled?
I would recommend the first step is to submit the admissions application. The second step is to meet with an advisor to see where they are. We have the adult high school, depending on the
Right.
situation of the student. We have the adult high school, we have the GED program, and we also have the college pathway. So depending on where the student is, but it's ideal that the person meets with the advisor to determine what's best for that person.
But it's certainly something that's hopeful for them because they can transition on in one way or another, whether it be
Yes.
through testing, GED, we can help them get into,
Yes,
into school.
and it's the same if we have students who completed courses outside the U.S. We have transcript evaluations in place so that we can accept credit from other countries.
Okay. Tell me about how we work with veterans, and that falls under your department as well.
Veterans is an office that's located at the district office, but we support all our veterans with the enrollment process and admissions and their benefits. So make sure that you take advantage and you let us know, that you are a veteran so we can assist you.
Sure, and there's a lot of programs and things that are available for the veterans that come to HCC. Recreational sports is one thing that a lot of folks may not know, that HCC is into rec sports. We have a basketball team, we may not have a football team, but we have a lot of other teams out there.
Yeah, we have multiple teams. We are not competitive teams, but
Right.
we are, they're fun teams to join, and it's an opportunity for students to get involved on campus. And if you are interested in that, please come to the Student Life Center at the location that you're interested in, and we can help you be part of a team.
I want to go back to, because we're obviously talking fall and registering for the fall. I want to go back and cover talking about the process of registering for the fall again. If someone is watching this webcast and they're thinking, oh, can I still take classes for summer? Can I take classes for the fall? And is it going to, obviously we can get financial aid involved with that, but what are the steps I need to take in getting that done?
Yes. After they submit the application, then they've make sure that their checklist items in their portal are checked off, and then they come to do an orientation on campus if they're first time in college students, and then they meet with their advisor to ensure that they're in the right program plan. And after that, they can register for classes. If they're returning students, they can simply go back to their portal, to My Eagle, and log in and register for their classes. If they haven't been here for a year, they need to reset their password, by clicking on hccs.edu and current and former students and retrieving their passwords so they can register. But if you haven't been in school for a year, I encourage you, to come and visit with an advisor to make sure that you're taking the correct classes.
A lot of folks are finding themselves getting up in age but wanting to change career paths. Maybe they were laid off or they're underemployed, so they want to go back and get back into college. They may not have been to college for 20, 25 years. How do they get those records? What are steps that those folks can take to get back into school? What would you suggest for them?
So the first step is always, is submitting the admissions application. If they have records from high school records or college records from 20, 25 years ago, it's making sure that they get them from those institutions sent to us. And then we can help them with the transition. We have online classes, we have classes in person, weekend classes. So we have a flexible schedule for our students of all backgrounds.
And do you find a lot more folks coming in that are older, that are looking for a second start in life, I guess, and getting more education?
We have a diverse student population. I was looking at the data this morning, and we do have a large number of students that are coming back after changing career paths.
Sure.
So we do have a large number of those.
So they won't be alone when they're walking across the campuses. Second start in the fall semester. What's the difference between starting in the fall and the second start? Because if I'm watching at home, I may think, well, what does that mean?
So regular semester is 16 weeks, second start is 12 weeks, so classes are a bit faster, and so we have to make sure that the student is capable of handling a fast-paced class schedule and balancing it with their work schedule. If they also have a family, making sure that they have that in place.
Okay, so sometimes it all revolves around when they're getting paid, and paying for the classes. So they may get paid on a certain day and may not have the money when the fall starts and decide I want to start second start. So that would work out for them as well.
Yes, and we have multiple payment options.
Right.
We have financial aid, as you've heard in the previous segment, and we have scholarship opportunities as well through our foundation to assist students.
Okay. If someone wants to get started on the website, where exactly would they go for applying? What's the website to go there? And then where would they go if they want to, say, get started in the financial aid area? Let's start with the applying.
Sure, it's hccs.edu, and then on the left-hand side, there's going to be a button that says Apply Now, New Student. And for financial aid, there's a second tab on hccs.edu, and there's financial aid, where they would go for financial aid.
Anything you would, if say a parent's watching and they've got a student who's maybe not taking classes this summer, where they're trying to get them going in the fall, what would you suggest? What would you tell that parent about getting them to go to HCC? What would you suggest to them?
HCC is a great institution to come. We offer a variety of courses. We have small classes. We are the cheapest in the state of Houston, and we want to make sure that students start small. If they're undecided, they can take a couple of classes before transferring to a four-year institution. So we have a lot of opportunities, and they can study and be debt-free before they transfer.
Indra Pelaez, thanks for joining us here. And thank you for joining us. We'll be back with more questions. If you have them, send them in to us. We'll be back after this.
Thank you.
I dropped out of the 9th grade. It's been a decision that I've been fighting to rectify for over 20 years now. 9/11 happened and I decided to join the Marines. I figured maybe just some discipline would help, and I scored really high on the GED just to join the military, and when I took the military exam, I scored high on it also. And as I'm learning now in statistics class, all indications were suggesting that education be what I do. And I left the Marine Corps with armfuls of awards. I came home, and it took a few years for me to understand that my value system had changed. I didn't value monetary gain. I really wanted to do what I loved, which was digital communications. I knew that I needed to go to school somewhere. Labor was not working. My back was telling me it's not going to last too much longer. And I could only fall back on what I learned in the military. If you get some good instruction, you can't be stopped. And I chose HCC because it was in close proximity, and from what I saw, the programs were excellent, and I'm benefiting already, and I'm actually eager about what's around the corner here. To continue my trend of awards for academic performance that I received in the military, now at HCC I've been awarded a Dean's List certificate, and that's a big motivation for me to keep going, and it's letting me know that I'm on the right track. If the military can do that with me, then I can't wait to see where HCC is going to take me.
And welcome back to our web chat. I'm Todd Duplantis with Houston Community College. We're here to answer your questions about getting started in college, going back to college, getting enrolled. We have experts on hand. Type in your question. We'll get an answer for you. Joining me now is Dr. Michael Webster, the Associate Vice Chancellor of Workforce Instruction. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we had a question that came through just a few moments ago talking about asking if HCC has partnerships with companies and industries to help our students get jobs when they go through the programs.
Yeah, we sure do. And the beauty of Houston right now is that the job market is so hot.
Yep.
Just about every sector is looking for skilled talent out there. So we're getting called constantly every day just about, hey, do you have a technician for machining? Do you have a welder? They need people desperately right now. So yeah, we've got quite a big bevy of employers out there looking for workers.
And that's important to know that, you know, when you go to HCC, we offer 2-year degrees and in some cases partnerships with colleges for 4-year degrees, but we also offer short-term certifications for workforce job training. Maybe you could talk about what is a short-term certification if someone wants to take one.
Yeah, so our programs start out at 8 weeks and they can go up to 2 years. We've got semester-long programs. If you're looking to work and you want to get into the job field pretty fast, you can do it definitely in construction. Healthcare, we've got a slew of programs that you can go into and get in there in 8 weeks.
I know some folks have been asking about welding. That's something we offer, and that seems to be growing because of the construction in Houston.
Yeah, welding and pipe fitting, both of those are in huge demand. And I'll tell you what, 8 to 16 weeks, you're making $65,000 to $85,000 a year.
And that's
pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking within 8-week training?
That's sure enough, yeah. And like I said, employers are after folks right now. The boom in construction is just huge, both on the industrial and commercial side. So.
A few years back, I used to work at the Southwest College, and Stafford fell within our service area. And manufacturing's huge out there, and now it's growing all across the Houston area, and we have an advanced manufacturing center in Stafford as well. Let's talk about manufacturing and the need for machinists and folks that are skilled to work in that.
Yeah, and I'll just tell you right now, I've seen a lot of facilities. By far, the one in Stafford is the best machining and manufacturing center I've seen at a college. So if people are listening and they're interested in that field, they need to get out there and see it and get involved because it's a great facility. In terms of machinists and manufacturing in general in Houston, we're one of 2 cities that are at the top of the mark right now in employment. Primarily in pipes and valves, but also in the medical field. You'd be surprised in the medical field. So there's a huge a need there again, and we can fill it.
Petrochemical. You had sent me some pictures of a new device you guys are about to install at one of the campuses. Maybe you can tell us about that. Yeah,
I'm really excited. It's for our process technology lab, and it's a simulated distillation tower. Students both on our instrumentation and our process technology program would have access to it. Both of those are 2-year associate degree programs, and again, the field is so wide right now. Generally speaking, a process technician coming out of our program will make $85,000 to $100,000 a year. Starting salary.
And that's after a 2-year degree?
After a 2-year degree. So the opportunity is huge, and we can definitely help out students in that way.
If someone wants to get more information on that particular program, where would they go on our website?
So there's a tab at the top. It says programs. Specifically, you want to go into for process technology into the STEM area study. They're grouped by areas of study, 8 of them,
Right.
and you'll find it there.
And there's also, if you go to our website, there's a search option at the top as well, and you
Sure
can
enough.
type that in, process technology as
technology.
well. Yeah, you know, and if you want to explore the programs like you'd said there, you can go through that route as well.
Absolutely.
So back to the short-term certifications.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that again, because some folks may have just been joining us.
Okay.
What's the difference between, I know some people may look on and they may say HCC has a number of programs. Some of them are certifications, some of them are 2-year degrees. Then I see there's some 4-year degrees that you guys offer through UT Tyler and stuff
That's
like
right.
that. What's the difference between those? Maybe you can break that down.
Yeah, so we actually have 2 programs that are what we call a 2+2. You take 2 years at HCC, and then you do an additional 2 years with a 4-year institution that we have partnerships with. You don't leave HCC's campus, you stay on at the campus and finish out your 4-year degree. We have that in engineering, several disciplines, and then we have it in interior design. Our partners are UT Tyler, as you said, Texas A&M, Prairie View, and then Stephen F. Austin.
Yeah.
So great opportunity for students and cost efficient.
Well, that's a big point you bring up there, because community colleges try to make it cost efficient for students to go to school, but now we've partnered with 4-year degree universities,
Right.
where you can start at HCC, in some cases transfer to the university or stay within our doors and still walk out with that degree. And I know a lot of these programs can be less than $20,000
Yeah.
for a 4-year degree.
Easily a third of the cost of what you pay at the 4-year. So I mean, it's a great opportunity for students.
Let's talk about, we started off talk about the Houston economy, and the economy, I know traditionally and sometimes when the economy is doing well, the community colleges are having a hard time because people are having jobs and working.
Yeah.
But in Houston, there's such a demand for construction, petroleum and engineering, things like that. There's such a demand for jobs. There just aren't enough workers out there. Let's talk about how we're trying to place those workers into the economy.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is that 52% of the jobs in our region require more than a high school diploma, but
Right.
less than a 4-year degree. So if you think about it,
Yep.
that's half of the jobs here.
And we're not talking low-paying jobs. At 1 year earlier, $85,000 to $100,000 a year.
No, these jobs pay well, and like I said, they're all in demand. And I think part of that is, we have over 20 of the Fortune 500 companies here, and all their suppliers and their contractors. So all of those folks are looking for workers, and we're obviously a training provider that can supply them. And we do. We have partnerships built up, specifically in construction and manufacturing. Those are strong.
Let's talk about high-wage, high-demand jobs. Some of them that are around the Houston area, from like machinists to sonography. Let's talk about a few of those.
Yeah, I would say, if you think about it by sector, anything in the healthcare sector right now is hot, and you can get something like a sonographer position, EKG technician, physical therapist assistant. All of these are jobs that are in high demand, and they pay really well. The construction field is primarily really hot right now, and so because of that, the demand is high, and because of that, they're paying higher wages. The other sector that I would look at is our petrochemical sector. They're doing $50 billion worth of expansion projects right now, so that industry is not going anywhere. We're going to continue to be strong there, and they'll need workers.
If you've got say a high schooler that's looking to, not really sure what they're going to do, and they're not really sure if they want to go off to UT or Texas A&M, is there a need to get a 4-year degree anymore?
Well, it's interesting you say that. I have a 16-year-old at home.
Yeah.
So I'm telling him, have you looked at plumbing?
Yeah.
Have you looked at machining? Have you looked at welding? And his answer is, yeah, I'll take a look. And I would say look hard.
Right.
Because they're good jobs. They're going to be here for a long time. They're the backbone to our community, and they pay well. So definitely. I mean, no, right now in Houston, you can make a very good wage and not have to go off to a 4-year institution.
And have all that debt that usually comes with the 4-year institution. You hear these horror stories of kids that go for a few years and just can't afford to go back because they're in, $20,000, $30,000 debt.
Exactly.
Let's go back to the Stafford area and where we have our Advanced Manufacturing Center out there. That was built in that area for a few economic key factors in that area, mainly pipe fitting industry, advanced manufacturing. What was the attraction to that area with all those industries? And does that seem like where it all boomed and spread out from there?
Yeah, I mean, it's across Houston, we have pockets of manufacturing. I mean, Humble's another area, but specifically to Stafford, the pipe and valve industry is really strong, and they've got a bevy of industrial association, an industrial association that's really working hard to make sure that they're getting the workers that they need. It just kind of happened out of the goodwill of the industry. So I think we're situated to feed into the folks out there. And surely the fact that we're on kind of the main supply route within the highway system out there makes a big difference.
If a student goes into that Advanced Manufacturing Center, what's the shortest term they could take as far as a certificate to go out and get employed? And can they get employed in that community if they live there?
Yeah, so I think the strongest thing to do would start with the Level 1 certificate. We've got several options out there. We have an associate's degree. We just started an apprenticeship. We're doing some short-term classes that actually build into the larger Level 1 certificate. But I think if you start out with a good Level 1 certificate, you get employed, you can get additional education, and you know, sky's the limit for those folks out there.
Well, that's the big thing is getting that taste of success. You know, they get the Level 1 certificate, go out, start working, and then you think, well, I can make more money if I get the next level up, and then, well, I might as well get the 2-year degrees. I'm only a semester away from it. And next thing you know, they've got an associate's degree, and they're far ahead of where they were just a few years ago.
Exactly,
If we talked about, another thing I wanted to mention as well, we've gotten a few questions on here regarding real estate. Not many people think of real estate as a workforce program.
Yeah, right.
You know, but with all the construction, that's kind of where we are right now, and there's a demand for real estate agents.
Yeah, this one just came up recently. So real estate agents are pretty hot in the market, and primarily that's because of our population boom. I'm sure if you get on the road and you drive around, you're going to see license plates from all across the nation. It's because everybody's coming here for the jobs, and they need places to live. So real estate is definitely a good opportunity. That's less than a year in terms of training. You can get out there with your agent's license and shoot, man, you can make good money.
Well, and a lot of folks kind of look at it as a second a job on the side, you know, a side gig.
Yeah,
you know, being able to sell a few houses and do that. In that one, how long is the training for that, the certification?
It's less than, it's a semester and a half, basically.
Okay.
So your second semester is your capstone work, prepping for the test, and then you're ready to go.
And then you take your test and you're out there on the market.
Yeah.
Very well. As far as, another thing I wanted to mention as well, and a lot of folks, I don't think people realize how much we need HVAC technicians here in Houston.
Yeah, right.
And HCC specializes in training HVAC folks. Maybe you could talk briefly about that.
Yeah, well, it's definitely not getting any cooler in Houston. We know that, and HVAC techs, because of that, are needed. And actually, we don't just need them for residential. That's what most people think. Large commercial buildings need folks that can not only repair but install. So, you know, with the construction boom, we're also seeing an additional need for HVAC workers. This is one, again, that starts around $50,000 to $60,000 a year. It's a great opportunity.
Perfect. Dr. Michael Webster, thanks for joining us here
and
bringing this information to the folks at home. Once again, if you have questions, we'll be back in another segment to answer those questions and type them up on your screen. We've got a team of experts here to get you enrolled at HCC. We'll be back after this.
Life at home in the church pews, but what got me interested in opera was the movie The Fifth Element. There's this scene with this blue alien lady who sings an aria, and I would just rewind that scene and watch it over and over again. And then when YouTube came out, I went down the rabbit hole and found all these other operas and singers and just fell in love with it. The path of my education has been long and winding, to say the least. So I transferred from HCC to a four-year university, and there were a lot of problems that I had to fix after I graduated. So for a while I was teaching myself, but then I came back and studied with my voice teacher from HCC, Miss Hope Shiver, who is a magician. She completely rehabilitated my voice. Hope Shiver is a genius. I say she knows everything, but she'll tell you differently. But when I have a lesson with her, it's always, she'll cock her head to the side and look at me and go, do this, do this, do this, do this. And I do that, and everything is just perfect. She's the best teacher I have ever had. It's all because of Ms. Shiver that I feel confident enough to audition at grad schools around the country, including one of my dream schools, NYU. Being back on this HCC stage reminds me of just how far I've come. It really just stokes the fire in me to keep working to grace even grander stages.
So you're going to go back over to Eagle.
Welcome back to our web chat. I'm Todd Duplantis with Houston Community College, and joining me now is Bonnie Jacobs, Director of Financial Aid. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Todd. Thanks for having us.
We were talking about workforce programs just a few moments ago, and some folks were asking online, can you use financial aid to pay for workforce training and certifications?
Todd, for the most part, the majority of the programs do qualify for financial aid.
Okay. And
Yes.
they would, to specify which ones, it's best to check with a financial aid advisor or just a general advisor?
They should be able to check with either one, a
Okay.
general advisor or a financial aid advisor, to find out if that program is eligible for financial aid.
Okay. Earlier, at the top of the show, we made an incredible announcement about free tuition, a free tuition program for graduating 2019 high school seniors. Maybe you can tell us about the Eagle Promise.
Yes, again, Todd, we are so very excited about this new Eagle Promise program for spring 2019 high school graduates. They are eligible or may be eligible to receive free tuition fees and up to $500 of a book allowance.
It's an incredible program, and it couldn't come at a better time. Of course, it's a huge topic across the country. Even in the debate last night, they were talking about free college tuition.
Yes.
Tell us how this works. For example, it's for high school seniors. Do they have to qualify for this? Are there specifications? And we'll talk about where they would go to also apply.
Okay, so there are just a few requirements for students to qualify for the free tuition fees and a book allowance. They must graduate from high school spring 19,
Okay.
have a GPA of 2.0. They must live within an HCC taxing district.
And just to clarify that means if you're living out of district, it's not going to, you can still attend HCC.
Correct.
But you're not going to qualify for this particular program.
Correct.
Okay.
And just because you don't qualify for this program doesn't mean that you may not qualify through your federal application for federal student aid to
Okay.
qualify for grants and scholarships and work study.
Right.
So just because you don't qualify for the Eagle Promise program doesn't mean that you don't qualify for financial aid.
And
I want to be clear about that.
And that's a good point, because there's a lot of financial aid sources out there, including the Pell Grant. And
Correct.
tell us how that works. In a lot of cases, it can pay for all of your college tuition.
Correct. The Pell Grant is a free grant. It does not have to be paid back. And for students that attend HCC, that can cover their full tuition, fees, books, and supplies. And a lot of times students are able to get a refund back to help pay for personal expenses,
Right.
transportation, and other expenses they may have.
And the Pell Grant, you don't pay that back, but you can also, say you get a Pell Grant that pays, you don't get enough to pay for all of your classes. But you really want to start, what happens next? Do you qualify for some financial aid where you can get a loan?
There are 4 different types of aid: grants, scholarships, work study, and loans. Loans being the least desirable of
Right.
the 4. So we want students to take out or get as much grant, scholarship, and work study before they use the option of loans. So, but yes, loans are an option if they need that to help fill in the gap of their cost of attendance.
You mentioned work study, and some folks may not be familiar with that, but we've had a number of work study students who work very successfully at the TV station at HCC. And tell us how that works, because that's a unique program where they're working to pay for school and they're actually being paid through that grant, right?
Correct. So work study allows a student, as you said, to work for a portion of their financial aid award. So it is a need-based program that they're awarded along with their Pell Grants and other grants. So they're able to sign up for a job. We have several hiring managers on campus. The job pays $9.50 per hour for on-campus jobs, $10 per hour for off-campus jobs. And we will be posting positions on our website, which is hccs.edu/workstudy. Those jobs should be posted mid-July.
And okay, so mid-July they'll have all the jobs posted. Can students apply for any of those jobs? For example, do they think, well, if that looks cool working at a TV station, I'll apply for a job there. So can they apply for any of that, or do you coach them?
Students are able to apply for any of the jobs that are posted. Now we're hoping that they choose something that is of interest to them in the long run. So if they're interested in working at a TV station, maybe they would be interested in being a work study student for HCC TV.
Right.
So we're hoping that they gain the experience needed for them to land a position, after they graduate from college.
And what about scholarships? Because that was one of the 3 of the 4 that you don't have to pay back if you get a scholarship. How do you know if you're going to qualify for a scholarship? How do you do?
The process for applying for scholarships, it's really up to the student to seek out scholarships. There's a lot of private industries that provide scholarships, so the student definitely has to search through organizations, churches. They may offer scholarships for various reasons. It's not always based on their financial situation. A lot of it is based on merit, or just because a student has blue eyes, for instance. So there's a lot of reasons why people offer scholarships. But HCC also has a scholarship program through our foundation office, and students have to fill out one application in order to qualify and be matched with several different scholarships.
And to find more information on that, you can visit hccs.edu/scholarships. Is there a deadline to apply for financial aid? For example, summer sessions starting not that long in the next summer session. Can I still get financial aid for that, or do I need to wait till the fall?
Well, it's funny you say that, because the deadline for the 18-19 aid year is June 30th.
Okay.
So students who are interested in attending summer classes only have a few days remaining to apply for financial aid for the summer session. For the fall session, October 1st of last year, of 2018, is when they could start applying for financial aid for the fall semester.
So, but is it too late now if I want to, say I want to, October 1st is come and gone, but if I want to take classes in the fall, can I still apply and get financial aid?
Most definitely. The application is available through June 30th.
Okay.
So students have a lot of time to apply, but we do encourage students to apply early. And now is the time to complete the FAFSA if you are interested in attending classes for the fall.
What's the biggest, not mistake, but trap you find students falling into when they are trying to get financial aid? What is the thing that happens the most that you see?
A lot of times students will wait until the last minute. Maybe they thought they were going to a different college, or they were planning on attending a different college, and they put all of their eggs in that basket, and they're planning on attending, or maybe going out of state. And so they have not completed their paperwork necessary to attend HCC. So what I would encourage students to do is, no matter if this is your plan A or your plan B, get all of your paperwork submitted so that you are prepared for whichever option ends up being your choice.
I know from personal experience, I know, because dealing with a child who was applying for college, they wanted my tax records as well. So are students going to need to bring in, students bring in their parents' tax records? Is that going to be looked at? How does that work?
If a student is dependent, that means they're usually under the age of 24, unmarried, have no children, not a veteran. If they're a dependent student, that means they will have to provide their parent information
So
on
that's
their,
another
on their
thing
financial aid form.
They need to make sure they get all that, especially if they're going to go visit you guys or
Well,
want to move
there is a
on.
way now for the students to provide that information directly from the IRS
Okay.
on their financial aid form. It's called the IRS data retrieval. So that would eliminate them having to bring in tax information
That's a good thing,
or
yeah.
provide proof of their tax information. If they use the IRS data retrieval, then we will use the information provided by the IRS.
I know it's listed out step by step on the website. Where would someone go if they want to get all the steps for getting financial aid and make sure they had everything? Where would they go to get that checklist?
hccs.edu/financial aid.
Okay, and that'll give them a checklist to make sure they have everything they need?
Definitely. That will give them all of the ways to apply for financial aid, and it will give them the steps of, what is required of them in order to maintain financial aid.
A few moments ago, we had a question pop up about dual credit. They were saying, if a student wants to use the Eagle Promise, are they allowed to, can they be a dual credit program student, meaning they took college classes in high school? Are they still eligible?
Yes, they are. So if they attended, say they attended for the spring 19 semester,
Right.
they would still qualify for the Eagle Promise program. We're just looking at the 2.0 qualification from high school. So we're not taking into consideration their grade point average or their college history. At this point, we're just looking at the fact that they're a high school graduate of spring 2019, and they have at least a 2.0 from high school.
And they're going to, when you get accepted into the Eagle Scholarship Program, or Eagle Promise Program, from what I understand, you need to keep in school continuously, and there are some other requirements you have to follow. What about summer sessions, for example? Can they take summer school, and will that be paid for by the Eagle Promise?
Yes, it will. It will be covered, the tuition, free tuition, fees, and $500 up to books.
Okay.
So if the summer is not required, or the mini session, but if a student chooses to attend during the summer, it will also be covered under the Eagle Promise program.
So they can, and will there be so that tuition will be covered. Will it be a limited program, meaning will they only be able to use it for 1 year, or can they reapply to get it the next year?
If a student, say they're accepted into the Eagle Promise program for the fall 2019, they will stay in the Eagle Promise
Okay.
program continuously, and hopefully within 3 to 5 years graduate from Houston Community College. So as long as they're attending continuously, they're meeting the satisfactory academic progress requirements, they're maintaining a 2.3 grade point average, and meeting with an advisor and a financial coach, they will continue to receive the Eagle Promise Scholarship throughout their history attending Houston Community College.
And if you're just joining us, we announced at the beginning of the show that Eagle Promise program is a scholarship program through Houston Community College. Free tuition is what it involves for graduating high school seniors. There's some qualifications you have to follow, so you can log on to hccs.edu/free degree for that. Let's talk about the cost to attend HCC compared to other colleges. I think earlier we mentioned something about students maybe didn't get a chance to get into A&M, or say they couldn't get into U of H or UT, and they're not really sure what they're going to do. Let's talk about the cost comparison of going to HCC, at least if you're going to go here for a semester or two.
We encourage students to really take advantage of the price difference at Houston Community College. It is a huge savings. It is $77 for in-district students, $173 for out-of-district, and $219 for out-of-state, which is very reasonable.
And the next question would be okay, that's great, but will these courses transfer when I eventually want to go to Texas Tech or A&M?
Most definitely. We are competitive. Our classes are transferable,
Right.
so students should not have any problem moving to another institution if that's their choice.
We talked many times about the benefits of registering early and applying for financial aid early. I know you mentioned some deadlines. So before we go, I want to go ahead and have you give those deadlines again. If you want to attend in the fall, and if you want to attend for summer session, the next summer session, can you get financial aid, and what are the deadlines for applying for that?
So if a student wants to attend for this summer 2019, they need to complete the 1819 financial aid form, FAFSA. The deadline is June 30th.
So we're only
to
talking a
complete-
few days.
We're talking
Yeah.
a few days in order to apply for financial aid for the summer session. If they're interested in attending the fall 19 session, they need to complete the 1920 financial aid form, and they need to do it, they need to do that now. We really want students to apply early,
Right.
apply and make sure they're awarded in time. It takes 3 to 4 weeks for us to process a financial aid award, so we don't want students to wait to the last minute and not have the financial award in place before they start classes.
And you made some good points earlier. You know, you do try to work with students to where the loan is the last option. You know, there are scholarships available through HCC and the foundation. There are the Eagle Promise program that's available. Other means that are available, the Pell Grant, before the student has to go to the loan and take on debt. Bonnie Jacobs, Director of Financial Aid for Houston Community College, thanks for joining us here, especially about that Eagle Promise program.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you. And if you'd like to learn more, hccs.edu is the website, and /apply is the one to get into school. I'm Todd Duplantis. Thank you for joining us.